We've been talking about shooting faster, and last week we talked about how sometimes shooting faster requires us to bend the rules or break the rules. What I mean by that is a lot of people, when they're trained when they're first starting out, let's say iron sights, it's always front sight focus, front sight focus, front sight focus, and there's nothing wrong with that. And if you're shooting a red dot, perhaps you don't know how to shoot a red dot correctly just yet, and you're focusing on the red dot. So we covered how you want to explore and eventually get comfortable with focusing on your target. These are all baby steps. If you watch that video alone, it's not the end all be all. Everything is going to be layered and make a lot more sense. And in this video, we are going to continue on that, the idea of being target focused, and now we're going to reference using your sights to a certain degree and keep on adding to it as we progress in this series. So if you're interested, stay tuned. Welcome back. So last week we talked about how you can be target focused, focus on your target the whole time, and break shots without your red dot being clear or your front sight being crystal clear. There's a time and place. You're not always going to do it, but we're talking about shooting faster. And there will be situations where you can rely on that or fall back on it if you want to refer to it that way and still get really accurate shots fast. But now we're going to specifically break down certain types of sight confirmation, so to speak. What do I mean by that? We do want some kind of visual reference from our gun, whether it be the sights, maybe it's the slide, the back plate, the top of a red dot, whatever it is, to indicate that our gun is aligned with our target and we can break a shot. Now, a big disclaimer here, what I'm going to share with you is going to vary from shooter to shooter, skill level, even the gun that you're using. But understand kind of the underlying lesson here and apply it to your specific situation. So what do I mean here? So if you see behind me, I have a target that for my skill set is a very easy target. We call this in the competitive shooting space an attack target, meaning you don't really have to aim on that target. Then further out, about maybe 10 to 11 yards, are steel plates. We have a popper, a static popper, and then a really small steel plate, 3-inch circle over there. Those are targets where I might have to spend a little bit more time and actually get my sights. And I'm using these as a reference because this target, as I mentioned, the paper target is a very easy target for me. So the type of aiming scheme that I use on this target will be different from targets further out. Keep in mind, this target at about 5 yards may not be easy for you based on your skill level. So think about what's easy for you. Maybe it's a target at 1 yard, okay? And then this is the technique that you can use. So when we're talking about shooting faster, this is one layer we are now adding on to last week. The first thing is we want to be target focused because you need to know what you're shooting. You need to know where the threat is, so on and so forth. But now let's assume that you have a threat or a target that is really up close. Do you have to have a crystal clear front sight? Do you have to really pay attention to your sights in the traditional sense? The answer in today's video for this particular situation, an easy target, is no. You don't have to use your sights in the traditional sense. So let's dive into the details. Again, I have a target that is really easy for my skill level, and then you want some targets further out that are more difficult. We're going to start this with dry fire. I'm using a DryFireMag so I can simulate taking those shots, and I do highly recommend you guys get one for your dry fire sessions if you have a striker fired pistol. So this is going to allow me to really attack that attack target. You'll see what I mean in a second. Then I can adjust my trigger press to having much more controlled shots. So as we start our dry fire session here, I have my DryFireMag, I have an easy target. What's going to happen is a lot of beginners, when they're trying to shoot faster, they are going to focus all on the trigger manipulation, which is, that's part of it, absolutely. But vision dictates everything, right? What we see is going to dictate, do we pull the trigger, so on and so forth. And what we're trying to do by talking about an aiming scheme here is to cut down on the vision processing time, where a beginner, even though this is a very close target, might bring out the gun, wait for their front sight or the red dot to be crystal clear and super steady, then they break the shot. So that takes some time. As I mentioned though, we are going to stay target focused like last week's video, and what we're going to do today for this type of aiming scheme, we're just looking for a reference from our gun. We are not going to be looking at our front sight. We are not going to be looking at the dot. The target is so easy for our skill level. Maybe it's really big or very up close or both. So what's going to happen, we're focusing on our target, we bring the gun up, and as soon as I see my slide lined up with the paper or the target, Or it could be a different index point. It might be the slide, it could be the back plate of the gun, it could be the top of your red dot, okay? All of those are different reference points. So we are not looking at our front sight or the red dot, but as soon as our reference point is, again, you decide what that is through practice, what's most comfortable for you, what comes natural. For me, I'm just going to focus on the back plate of my slide. As soon as it's lined up with that target, I will break the shot. And I can do that with 100% confidence because I know where my abilities are at. Now that's a key thing. You need to know what your skill level is, right? So let's say you go up to this target and you're a beginner, it's 5 yards away, then you try to do this and you're always missing. It could be that your skill level isn't there yet. Maybe your attack target, an easy target for you, has to be 1 yard away from you. And if it was 1 yard away, you still get that reference of your slide or your back plate or the top of your red dot covering that target, and that should be accurate. We're not looking for precision here. We're not looking to land, keyhole shots or anything. We're trying to land combat effective shots, or if I was in competition, I just need to get that shot somewhere in the A zone. Okay, so for our dry fire session here, we're focusing on a reference point. So keep your eyes on the target, and you can start off with just one shot. I'm not looking at my red dot. I am not looking at my front sight. Once I have my reference point lined up, I break the shot. Okay. So you're going to do this keeping your focus on the target. I do not want you to punch out. The target is crystal clear, and then you are adjusting your vision to make your red dot clear or your front sight. For red dot shooters, you shouldn't even do that anyway, but for iron sight shooters, again, a lot of people are taught to focus on that front sight. But in this situation, okay, keep in mind, in this situation, the target is very easy, the target is very big, and you're confident that you do not have to aim. The reference point is going to be enough. And so that is going to shave off time because now you're not looking to have a crystal clear front sight or anything like that. So for dry fire, you're just going to be doing this, getting comfortable, keeping the target in crystal clear focus. You have a reference point, perhaps it's the back plate or the top of the red dot. Once it's there, break the shot. And you're going to get comfortable with that. You could do this 2 or 3 shots, continue looking at your target and break those shots. This is pretty simple. So what you're looking out for is not necessarily are you going to have accurate shots, because it's not like judging whether you have an accurate shot or not by focusing on the front sight or the red dot and seeing if it moves. It's more about just making sure this is overlaid on your target, and because it's so close or the target's so big, you're most likely going to hit. But what I want you to focus on though, when you're doing these dry fire drills, these repetitions, is the target crystal clear. Okay, so you're doing this, everything should be blurry here, okay, or more blurry than the target. If you find yourself at this distance for the easy target, if you find yourself having a very clear target, then you catch yourself returning to this to focus in on everything, then you break the shot. We're trying to avoid that because again, you're shooting a target that you don't need to do that. Okay, so this is the first level we're discussing in terms of what you should be seeing with your sights. The next 2 weeks we'll be talking about different ways to approach this. So again, during dry fire, I'm looking at the target, I'm just looking for a reference point because it's such an easy target. But then now, if I'm transitioning to one of those plates, which is a harder target, now I go back to what I know. Now I might, if I was using iron sights, perhaps based on my skill level, I now have to focus on my right sight, okay? So that's the idea here. We need to explore these distances that are relatively easy for you. You're going to just use a reference point. And then as you get further out, you're going to have to find out what these distances are because again, your skill level is different. And also the pistol you use could also dictate certain things, right? So your dry fire session would be starting off with an easy target, making sure you're 100% focused on the target and you're not switching back, and then break those shots with a reference point. We are going to validate this during live fire, but your dry fire is as simple as that. But to add on to that, a layer, what you want to do is transition to different targets that are harder. So now maybe I'm focused on this easy target. I just needed a back plate to break the shot, but now I'm shooting one of these steel plates in the back. Now I may need to change my focus or slow down. I no longer can just use the reference point, right? Depending on your skill level. So I'm going to do this live fire now and we'll drive in some points. All right, so now let's discuss live fire. So I'm already loaded here, and all you need to do, even without a timer, because you're getting used to just shooting from a reference point, we are going to take one shot first without looking at our sights, just get a reference point and then stop. You're just doing this to get comfortable and to build up to consistency. So I might start just from a high ready position. Later on, you can progress to the draw. Okay, naturally, as you get used to everything, you're doing things successfully and you're comfortable, then you can proceed to things that are more complex. But from here, I'm looking at my target. I do not want to look at my sights. I'm going to punch out as soon as I see the back plate, the red dot, or the slide over my target, I'm going to break the shot. So I'm here and break the shot. So notice, it's down, but I got the hit. That's an effective hit. So again, I'm here. I'm not looking at my sights. It's an effective shot, okay? Same thing, not looking at my sights. It is so close that I can do this with 100% confidence that I'm going to land that shot. Now keep in mind, you still must have your fundamentals, okay? It is possible to jerk the trigger and do something wrong where you're going to miss your shot. So assuming you have your fundamentals down, all you have to do is present, break the shot, and you're going to get it. Okay, all I am doing is I'm looking for some kind of reference point on my gun here, and to be honest, I'm not even singling it out. I could be looking at the back plate, top of the red dot. For my skill level right now, all I need to see is any part of this gun on top of the target and I'm hitting the shot, okay? Once you've done that consistently, now you can try 2 shots. You don't have to go crazy here or anything like that. The idea is you're just getting comfortable, staying on your target, not seeing your sights, but you're absolutely seeing a visual reference, your gun. So now I would do 2 shots. My gun comes out and I take those 2 shots, okay? Keep in mind the whole topic of this video is to learn how to shoot faster. So now you understand if there is a target that is in your attack distance, you don't have to fall back to the traditional sense that you need to see a crystal clear front sight, so on and so forth. You just need to see a reference. As you engage targets that are further out, as you see these steel plates here, then you have to change your aiming scheme. No longer can you rely just on the back plate or a reference on your gun. Of course, this is going to go back to what I mentioned. It's going to depend on your skill level. Okay, those who are more skilled, perhaps you can shoot just with, a reference on your gun really far out. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys. I'll talk this one through. I might take a quick shot, just having a reference with my gun. It hits the target. Now I transfer to that steel plate over here on the left, okay, maybe that small one. Now I can't just have a reference. I need to be looking at my target, wait for my red dot to be overlaid, then I break the shot. All right? That is something we're going to cover later on, how to deal with harder targets. We're focusing just on the easy target right now. So in terms of a progression, you're going to start off with 1 shot on an easy target, 2 shots on an easy target with that visual reference. Then from there, you can do 3 shots if you want to, but I think by that time you get the point, what you're trying to do. Then the next step would be to possibly add some time stress to it. Okay, I'm not going to cover that right now because it's self-explanatory. Then from there, you now want to begin to have different types of targets to force yourself to change gears. Meaning you might be looking at a reference point and now that popper there, I might take that first shot. Then as I move to this, I might now, based on skill level, I might now have to take things a little bit more deliberately, get my dot on the target and break my shot. After that, this is where you can get more dynamic. You can add movement, so on and so forth, and really sky is the limit. But that is for people who are much more skilled. If you're a beginner just starting out, baby steps, that's all you need to understand this concept. That wraps up today's video. If the idea of not using your sights is brand new to you, explore this because it is going to help you shoot faster. And I'm not telling you to not look at your sights. We're still looking for something, a visual reference. Again, something with your gun on top of the target, right? We're not shooting blindly here. It might seem uncomfortable or weird at first because you're not doing what you were originally taught, but I promise you'll be able to shoot faster while still maintaining accuracy at these targets that are up close. Hope you guys liked the video. As always, if you did, give us a thumbs up. Let us know what you think in the comments below. And if you are not subscribed yet, make sure to hit that subscribe button. See you guys next time.